On the Fringe with Dan Radio Style. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. Major stuff going on. Looks like the Senate, they're trying to do some shenanigans. We'll see if we can kind of help out with that a little bit. A lot of news to cover, and certainly going to talk about the elections and where we're at with it. Some good news has transpired. Good news. Let's not undersell it. Let's not oversell it. Let's get into it, though. Got a lot going on. Starting here with something that's pretty significant. You guys remember in Paris, I forget how many years, 2019, good thing it's in there. The Notre Dame caught fire, which was pretty horrific. Well, they finally got the bells ringing again, which is pretty cool. It's all good stuff, all that needs to be discussed there, yeah. Making white guys dance great again, or making white people dance great again. I don't know. I'm not quite sure. I wanted to point out the fact that this is pretty cool, that this is where we're at in the big picture. Here, I got to open it up. That's why. I was like, that's not what that's supposed to be. Here we go. There, white people dancing. Dude's a dancer. He's a dancer. Well, we got even people in the news kind of making fun of this Greek television, which reminds me of a funny joke, but needless to say, we're going to get them not making fun, but doing the dance as well. The rest of the world is extremely happy with us right now. Very happy. We did some very, very big plays, and we've done well. Now, I want to read this. General Flynn has done a really good job putting this into words, and I think it is deserving of the little bit of time it'll take to read it. Democrats, if you're wondering why America voted for Trump, allow me to explain. The truth is, the American people are sick of your shit. You ruined our nation and our culture. You openly mocked, belittled, and discriminated us, then called us racist, misogynist, Nazis when we started noticing. You defiled and corrupted all of our great institutions to include the media, social media, tech, academia, intelligence, health, pharma, Hollywood, entertainment, sports, everything. You weaponized every aspect of American life and used it to push your insane far-left agenda down our throats. You told us Trump was a Russian asset that was going to start World War III and would be worse than Hitler. Then you used that as an excuse to justify hatred towards Trump supporters and to riot in the streets. You used it as an excuse to obstruct and ruin Trump's entire first term, and it turned out it was all a lie. Then, during COVID, you demanded we all be forced to take medical experimentation without testing. You wanted dissenters locked in prison. You wanted children taken from their anti-vax parents. You wanted the anti-vax in camps. You were rooting for our deaths. Then, it turned out you were wrong about everything. From the man-made origin, to masks, to vaccines, to social distancing, to ivermectin, to HCQ, to natural immunity, and everything in between. Then, during Ukraine, you told us that Ukraine was a bastion of democracy and that they desperately needed all of our tax dollars. Then it turned out that Ukraine is one of the most corrupt nations in the world, with Israel, with literal Nazi military forces, and it was actually just a money laundering operation to steal from the American taxpayer. You wanted to defend Ukraine's borders more than our own. You send hundreds of billions of dollars to the other side of the planet while Americans are suffering, all based on more lies. Then there's the whole Epstein-Diddy human trafficking element. Y'all told us vehemently that human trafficking was a myth. You told us the border was secure. And you told us that anyone who questioned it was irredeemable and deplorable conspiracy theorists and a piece of garbage. You said anyone who watched Sounds of Freedom was a QAnon extremist and threat to democracy. Then it turned out to be true, and the elites really are engaged in unspeakable crimes against children. After you all told us for decades this was not true. You covered up the most heinous crimes imaginable for political gain. I could do this for days, but I think you get the point. The American people are awake to the scam and the true evil goings-on around us. and we are not going to stand for it anymore. So we hired Donald J. Trump and his team of patriots to rectify the situation and bring America back to her greatness. This is the reality of the situation. You are the bad guys, and you have been deceived. The sooner you wake up to it, the sooner you can join us in repairing this nation. Or you can choose to deny reality and spend the rest of your lives consumed by hate based on lies. The choice is yours. Very good, astute points that he's making, I feel, anyways. Here's Kash Patel talking about what's coming in the days not too far ahead.
And if the January 6th committee is in fact this legitimate committee, then you know what members of Congress can't hide behind the speech and debate clause for committing felonies when it comes to destroying and suppressing evidence to law enforcement agencies. And since we just found out about it, here's what I'm proposing. If and when Donald Trump wins the presidency, there may be a full-fledged investigation into those in Congress who aided and abetted this corrupt criminal activity, and we should look at who was responsible for what and whether there was any ill will and intention to suppress evidence from federal investigators. And if there was, that's a crime whether you're in Congress or not. So we should start there, because they said the January 6th committee's legit. Okay, if you're legit, then you're subjected to the federal statutes. And let's see who broke the law. The deep state has always gotten away with it because the deep state has been in charge. So if you want real accountability, whether it's Democrat or Republican, remember it's that whole uniparty thing, you have to defeat the deep state. And electing Donald Trump president is step one. Getting out there and telling Americans the truth about the 51 Intel letter, Hunter Biden's laptop, Joe Biden's classified documents case, and Robert Hur's creation of a new legal standard to exonerate falsely a president who should have been charged criminally. And unlike what they're doing to Donald Trump. And so we have to go out there and just pound that mission on behalf of President Trump about the truth. And when I think in November all of those things intersect, there's going to be a cataclysmic implosion in Washington, D.C., the likes that we have not seen. And the deep state, once it's sunk, cannot be raised, just like the Titanic. And we are going to see a new day in Washington where people are held accountable internally in government for their criminal conduct.
It's going to be an exciting time for sure. Exciting time indeed. Here is another individual, and this guy, I think, uses the F word a bunch of times, so if you're sensitive to that, you might want to skip ahead. All said, I think what he says is beautiful. Check it out.
When people are like, where's Donald Trump going to get all the money to deport millions of people? The same place you motherfuckers got it to fucking bus them and fly them all across the United States, put them up in fucking hotels, give them fucking apartments, give them free healthcare, and give them $3,500 a fucking month on a debit card. That's where we're going to get it. We're just going to stop giving them that shit and throw them the fuck out. It's pretty fucking simple. You guys already wasted billions of dollars fucking getting them here. Yes, we're going to waste billions of dollars getting them the fuck out of here and getting back to being Americans.
Booyah, right? There you go. That's one way to fix the problem, that's for sure. Here's General Flynn doing some more good talking, I think.
Not underestimate what these people are capable of doing, and they're not going to simply roll over. And so I honestly don't give a shit if people believe me or not, Tim. I really don't. But I firmly believe what I am saying, and it doesn't come from something that I just got up this morning and read on the internet. It comes from a lifetime of experience studying, fighting, being persecuted, and living in an environment that my life has been examining the threats that come against the United States of America. As a young officer, it's on the battlefield and it's formations and military units. But as I got more senior, it's looking at these ideologies that compete against the United States of America. And it kind of goes back to what you had talked about, where you asked earlier. I'm not sure I answered the question, clearly. But it's kind of like, why do they want this? And I got into the whole geology thing. I mean, they want it because it's absolute power. I mean, when you think about the Bolshevik Revolution, when you think about guys like the rise of Adolf Hitler, when you think about Mao Zedong, I mean, China would not exist today were it not for the United States of America going in and beating the pants off of the imperialist Japanese and driving them from modern-day Burma all the way back to Japan, and then dropping 2 atom bombs, because the first one, the reason why we dropped the second one, because the first one didn't convince them enough.
Yeah, we've got a very strange world that we're coming back from, and it's been so warlike for so long. It's just nice that maybe we can finally have a change. Something that we're probably going to trip on. I think this is going to be amazing. Some of the people that do this, I'm wondering if any immediate family members will, like my mom would be one, I wonder. But people are literally shaving their heads in protest over the Trump thing. So literally, you know, the ladies that were wearing the pink pussy hats, a lot of them are going to be actually shaving their heads. Also, some weird thing going around right now where women are abstaining from having sex and relationships and all that, and that's their other form of protest. There's going to be a lot of strange protests that we're going to experience, but needless to say, it is not going to change. It's not going to change things, I don't think, anyways. Dan O'Donnell posted this. Yeah, liberals who are questioning why more than 10 million Democrats' votes simply vanished from 2020 to 2024. I agree with you. I share your suspicions. And that's why I hope you'll join me in demanding a full forensic investigation of every single vote cast in the 2020 election. We need to get to the bottom of this. In 2020, President Biden suddenly got 11 million more votes than any other presidential candidate in history. More than that. And then in 2024, all 11 million votes just disappeared. Doesn't make any sense. This is actually kind of not really true anymore, by the way. Now, I don't know where things are. Well, we kind of know where things are, but we're actually not as far off the number that we had in 2020 than we did a week ago, or just less than a week ago. So we've got some stuff that doesn't add up still, and I think we kind of know what the problem is. We've got a couple examples that will, I think, demonstrate the point. I don't know. I had that pulled for a reason, but it looks like it changed. FEMA officials fired for directing hurricane relief away from Trump supporters. Yeah, I think this had to do with the hurricane coming in. Really, this is where it ended up. That's so strange. Anywho, yeah, we got a big old hurricane coming in, and it's in the Gulf right now. I think they're suspecting it's probably going to hit Texas. That's what this story originally was. It's funny how Daily Mail just changed it all on its own. That's awesome. FEMA official fired for directing hurricane relief away from Trump supporters' home. This was actually a true story. Many would be like, that's not true. No. Yeah, no, it was true. This individual, I'm assuming it's a she, but this individual got fired because they were doing this. And what we have now is we've got the oversight committees actually looking into this and is calling them in to talk about, hey, what's going on with this? You just fired somebody. We hear this rumor. What's going on? So hopefully we'll totally get to the bottom of this. We'll see. But this is James Comer that's starting this ball rolling at the moment. Someone want to tell Jerome we don't really need him. It's kind of funny. So Jerome said I won't resign and Trump can't fire me. It's not necessarily true, but we'll see how it plays out. Because again, the Fed is not part of our government, but they've been brought into the Treasury. I'll be very curious to see what happens to the Fed, by the way. And then, they got the dude, I'm trying to blank on him from Matrix, the agent. Tell me, Mr. Powell, what good is being chair of the Fed if there is no Fed to chair? Kind of a fun little thing. So Jerome Powell is being a dick right now. Definitely not trying to help. And in my opinion, he's probably going to raise the rates at least one more time in a hope to destroy the economy heading into Trump's presidency. I'm telling you guys, things are not what they seem. Get out of their system. Get out while you can. Go to drslikesgold.com. drslikesgold.com. Get out of this system, this Fed system. You don't want to be a part of the Federal Reserve note. And certainly the stocks that they're buying are not necessarily in your favor right now either. We've got a lot of things that are going to be happening in the world that probably are not going to be good for the stock market. Stock market is way overblown up by about 4 years. This bubble is long ready to pop. So getting out of their system is going to be a smart move on your part. If you've got a 401k or an IRA, get out tax-free, penalty-free. You move sideways over into a precious metals IRA, and you can continue to add to it if you want. You can cash it out at some point. You can do all the standard things you can do with an IRA, and you get that tax deferment as well. So move it over sideways, tax-free, penalty-free, from your 401k or your IRA. Whatever that dollar amount is in that 401k or IRA, take 10% of that. They're going to give you that much free silver on top of everything else. Literally, go to drslikesgold.com, drslikesgold.com. Get out of their system before they get out of you. And that is definitely their plan. And we can see Powell as being a bit resistant nonetheless. And we'll see how things continue to play out. Amazon insider trading alert. So Jeff Bezos has dumped another $1.23 billion worth of Amazon shares. He's now sold more than $11 billion worth of those stocks this year. $11 billion. What's he doing? Probably buying another business would be my assumption, but I'm not sure. I mean, you got to be careful. You can't just sell $11 billion worth of stock at one time because it kills the stock price. But that's a lot of stock. What's Bezos up to? Don't know, right? Something's up. Something's coming. I don't think he's cashing it out so he can just have a bunch of cash. No, he's probably going to buy something with it, but what? Very interesting. This is badass. Kid Rock did something very, very cool. I love it. It's got a bit of a song in here. It's good stuff. Check this out.
First off, let me convey to my family, friends, and supporters that now is not the time to gloat. We must remember that most of our left-leaning friends are good people who want the same things in life as we do, but simply think differently on how to get there. It is now time to be the bigger man, to extend an olive branch and unite all reasonable people of this great nation. God has blessed America, and together with President Trump, we will make America great again. A little blue suede shoes, the sweet emotion raining all over me. Give me that heart and that soul. I'm back in rock and roll. Oh, I'm back in rock and roll. Oh, here come rock.
Such a great time to be alive. Such a great time to be alive and be a part of what's happening. It's incredible. Incredible. Charlie Kirk posted this. 3 days since Donald Trump's historic landslide, and already the European Union says it wants to buy American natural gas to avoid Trump's tariffs. Putin says he will sell Russian oil in U.S. dollars. Hamas is calling for peace. Zelensky held a private phone call with President Trump and Elon Musk. Mexico broke up a migrant caravan heading for America. Nature is healing. And we are indeed. Again, a lot to do. This is going to be a very busy year. This is just funny. Dems report, supposedly. There's no way they'd do this. There's no way this could happen. Even if one of the Supreme Court justices died, they would not fill it until Trump got into office. But there's Dems supportedly trying to renew calls for Justice Sotomayor to resign ahead of Trump's term. Even if she did, everybody would agree, no, we're going to wait. We got a whole new Congress. The American people have voted. And there's no way we would let the current Congress vote in a new Supreme Court member. No way in happening. But they're talking about it. They're trying to do some crazy last-minute stuff. Elon Musk posted this. Jack Smith's abuse of the justice system cannot go unpunished. I think there's a number of people that are going to get very, very caught up in some legal stuff. Liz Cheney is probably one of them as well. I would assume anybody on the January 6th committee is going to have some very difficult questions that they're going to need to answer, I should say, or going to be asked, I guess. A lot going on with elections. Let's dig into this. So, ballot chase update. Charlie Kirk posted this. This is pretty fantastic. Said, as the count stands right now, still waiting on Arizona. We've actually got Arizona in, by the way. Trump won. It's awesome. But as the count stands right now, our turning point ballot chasers. They chased to completion between 205 and 220,000 low propensity conservative votes in Arizona, well beyond the current margin of victory. Arizona will end up with the highest margin of victory of any of the 7 swing states. They chased to completion over 60,000 low prop votes in Wisconsin, well beyond the margin of victory in that state. They chased over 14,000 low prop votes in Michigan Sector 7 or however, successfully flopping that congressional seat from Democrat to Republican and helping win the state House. Chased to completion over 6,000 low prop votes in Nevada's 3rd district, contributing to moving the state back into the R column for the first time since 2004. We hired 1,000 plus full-time staff, onboarded over 5,000 volunteers, provided hotels and training for 2,500 out-of-state volunteers who moved to Arizona and Wisconsin, and empowered countless more who sent texts, made phone calls, and sent postcards. We worked directly with partner orgs like Scott Presler's Early Vote Action and Cliff Maloney's Pennsylvania Chase in Pennsylvania, Great Education Action in Michigan. We work closely with State GOP Chair Josh McCoon in Georgia, with State GOP Chair Michael McDonald and Sigal Chattah in Nevada, and dozens of counties, GOPs, which use their data as well. So they made a huge difference, everything they were involved with in chasing down all these votes. So just big call out and thanks to the people that were involved in that. So Arizona update. First, the source in Arizona informed me that the whole ballot curing effort is a tad chaotic because not only do the counties, by law, have to cure the ballots by reaching out to voters, but there are at 4 organizations in Arizona obtaining lists of people who need their ballots cured and are also reaching out to people. Some of these organizations are reaching out to people who are not qualified to have their ballots cured. The ones that required curing are the ones where signatures do not match and not people who maybe had their ballot replaced because they made a mistake on the first ballot, which needed to be voided. In other words, not every rejected ballot can be cured. Not only that, the state has been slow in sending updated data lists to the counties. So both the counties and the separate organizations are trying to cure ballots from people that might have been removed from the list by the state. Is the state intentionally slow-rolling information to prevent accurate curing? Due to so many organizations, plus the county reaching out to people, some voters are getting frustrated and angry. 84% to 85% of the vote has been counted so far. Questions. Why is it taking so long? Second question. Will they have to extend the curing deadline if all ballots haven't been processed yet? Third question. How is it possible that Kari Lake has more votes than Kamala and yet is considered trailing behind when Trump is the sure winner? And last question. Why, within a 2-hour period, is the total number of estimated uncounted ballots 15,000 higher? All interesting questions that need to be asked, huh? The ACLU is asking Arizona Supreme Court to extend its curing deadline after the vote count delays. So ACLU is trying to do their part to extend this out. Not necessarily a group that works in our favor typically, but every once in a while. So Trump has flipped Nevada as well. Near sweep of the swing states. Trump has done very, very well. We'll actually get up there in a second. This was kind of funny when you look at this. All of the states that Kamala won, every single state that Kamala won has a no ID requirement. Every single state that Kamala won has a no ID required, no ID asked for, no ID, period. Just, I'm sure, total coincidence. That's all that is, folks. Just a coincidence. Nothing to see here. Please look the other way. Now, here is something that's interesting. And this slide, I think, is one, it's changing, which is good. So 2012, we had 126 million votes. 2016, we had 128 million votes. 2020, we had 155 million votes. That's a difference of over 25, almost 27 million votes. Okay? Everyone's talking about the 15 million that Joe got. I get you. Where are the other 27 million votes? Not just 15, there's 27 million. Now, this number has actually shrunk. It's no longer 27, nowhere near it. In fact, it's no longer, it's not even 138, which if you'll notice, 138 is still, what, we're about 12, 17 shy? 17, funny number, million shy. So this, again, these numbers are changing pretty quickly. Here's right this second. Right now, Trump has 312 of the Electoral College. He needed 270 to win. He's overwhelmingly won. But what's interesting is the number of votes. So Kamala got basically 71 million votes. We're going to make it easy numbers. And Trump, we'll round him up, call it 75. I mean, I'm rounding him up a bunch more than I am Kamala, but whatever. 71 and 75. So that's what, 146 million votes? 146 million votes. 146 million votes. Where's it? This guy? I think it's this guy. 155 million is what we had in 2020. We have about 146 million right now. So we're about 9 million short. And they're still counting. So again, it's kind of interesting how this has actually played out. But yes, Arizona and Nevada both have gone to Trump. So we are, I think we're done. I think this is all the Electoral College are in. So this is the official numbers, I believe. It's 312 to 226. Trump also got the popular vote, so there is nothing to be said. He's got almost 5 million more votes than Kamala thus far. We've still got 9 million missing votes. We'll see what those get to us. Now, on the Senate side, there's some weird stuff going on. Laura Loomer, who, I don't know, man, she bugs the hell out of me ever since she did her little thing. And it still bugs me, but pretty weird given the fact that Trump won Nevada. So Democrat Senator Jackie Rosen has won the re-election, beating Republican Sam Brown in Nevada Senate race. So again, a lot of weird shenanigans happened in these states that took an extraordinarily long time to count. The races didn't quite follow the down ticket ballots. It seems that maybe vote counts are a little weird considering how you compare him to Trump. You know, good examples, Kerry Lake. Florida Senator Rick Scott, he's announcing that he wants to run for the Senate Republican leadership. A lot of discussions around this. There's talk about Cornyn and some other individual. And long story short, what we basically understand is the people are trying to put in place, the deep state's trying to put in place their person to control. It's a big part of why Mitch McConnell, I think, stepped down when he did, because he didn't want the new Congress to decide this. Folks, this is our government. Let's insist on our government being run by us. Rick Scott's probably the best choice, but they are definitely kind of trying to push back on him a little bit because he's not supposedly the deep state choice. We'll see how things continue to play out. But he has gained more endorsements for Senate Majority Leader, including Senators Johnson and Rand Paul. So that's awesome. So Rick Scott is on his way. Now, something that's bringing a lot of questions, and this is another example of John Cornyn being a douche. He's Texas too, by the way. So and again, we needed to vote like all the people the way we did. We weren't going to replace Cornyn with a Democrat, so that wasn't going to happen. There's just no way. So it is what it is. We're far from done taking back our government. We made a huge step, but we're far from done. So Trump transition update. This amused person says, I'm hearing that Trump wants Ken Paxton as the U.S. Attorney General, but that Senator John Cornyn is promising to block his confirmation. Cornyn reportedly wants Senator Mike Lee out of the Senate and is pushing him for Attorney General instead. Shouldn't Trump get to pick his own team this time? Yeah, I would say so. We'll see, and I think Ken Paxton would be a far better choice. The FBI opened investigations into him because they didn't like what he was doing, how he was fighting the Biden administration. He's the guy we want in. He's the guy that will clean it up. And he's the guy that will kick ass on some people that probably need to have their asses kicked. So Tory says has been doing some huge digging and seems to have some innately good knowledge on this subject. But a lot of the biolabs that we kept hearing them talk about in Ukraine, well, some of those are worse than you could ever imagine. They're supposedly growing babies. Now, I'm not sure if they're growing them or if they're coming out of people or how they're doing this. But literally, it's kind of like the mice that we used to test, like different drugs and stuff. You order these mice from a company, they send you a bunch of mice, and then you use those mice. And you know these mice are genetically, they're just correct and they're clean and they're not coming sick already. Like they're trying to give you good stuff so you can do legitimate experiments. Supposedly, they have that with children, newborns, fetuses, all that stuff. Literally growing them and then selling them to people that want to use them for testing. So Brennan was directly involved with this. She worked for Brennan back in the day. That's one of the reasons I kind of dig what Tori's all about. She's pretty legit in the world, and she seems to have a bit of an axe to grind, to say the least. So Brennan was supposedly behind a lot of this. And they actually thought she was heartless. And come to find out, I guess that wasn't true. So yes, biolabs. Surrogate babies, genetically specific like mice. Use and order them for experiments. This is literally what happens on this planet. There are people that are literally that evil. Kind of frightening. Officials in Arizona have been caught changing ballot totals. Lake Legal demands answers. Developing. Attorneys at Kerry Lake for Arizona are demanding Pima County promptly explain the discrepancies in reported numbers and provide a full, accurate account of how the total of unaccounted ballots increased between the 1:23 p.m. and 3:23 p.m. reports. How did we end up with, I think it was like 15,000 more ballots or something to that effect? Where is it? Yeah, number of ballots already tabulated, uncounted. 106, and now it's up to 120 or something. So it went up quite a bit, about 15, 14 million. Some weird stuff's going on, guys. Tucker Carlson posted this. What the hell is going on in the U.S. Senate? Hours after Donald Trump wins the most conclusive mandate in 40 years, Mitch McConnell engineers a coup against his agenda by calling early leadership elections in the Senate. Two of the three candidates hate Trump and what he ran on. One of them, John Cornyn, is an angry liberal whose politics are indistinguishable from Liz Cheney's. The election is Wednesday. It's by secret ballot, and it will determine whether or not the new administration succeeds. Rick Scott of Florida is the only candidate who agrees with Donald Trump. Call your senator and demand a public endorsement of Rick Scott. Don't let McConnell get away with this. Again, they are still trying to steal this. They're everything they can to hogtie and hamstring Trump is going on. Senator Tom Cotton from Arkansas, he has secured a solid majority of Republican senators' votes to elect him as the GOP conference chair. This is supposedly the number 3 leadership position. This is a big deal. Cotton has long served as a bridge between the Senate leadership and the more conservative faction of the conference. He also holds sway in President-elect Trump's orbit. Cotton, expected to win on Wednesday, would box out Senator Joni Ernst and leadership entirely. The Senator Shelley Capito is running for the number 4 position, which is currently held by Ernst. It sounds like they want to get Ernst out of there. So again, we've got a lot of plays are in action. We'll do our best to stay on top of everything. All right, so Senate races are not fully decided. It looks like the Democrats picked up one more seat. Looks like there's still one seat available to be decided. Not 100% sure which one it is, though, frankly. Seems like all these states that just are blank. It's kind of weird. All said, we're at 53 to 46. So the Senate breakdown is almost done. Now, from the House side of things, what is going on in Billy Prempeh's race? I don't know where he's at. New Jersey, I think it is. Are those countings just dragging their feet, waiting for him to concede? Supposedly 67,000 votes uncounted. This needs to be looked into, considering how much of New Jersey went red. If you're in the area, help them call this out. So again, we're having all sorts of shenanigans happening all over the place. And as of right now, for the House, We're sitting at 213 to 202. 218 needed, so 5 more seats are definitely needed. I'm going to tell you, folks, we've got them already queued up. This one here that's not decided in Washington is definitely going to be a Republican because it's just 2 Republicans no matter what. Let's see, the other, we got a few in California that are going to be Republican. This one here, so that's 2. This one here is, these have changed a little. Interesting. This is 3. This one's going to be Republican, I think, down here. No? Okay. What about this guy? Yeah, one of these is Republican. Yeah, they've changed some of these numbers. Here's another one. That's 4. This one's 5. This one's 6. This one's 7. And this one's close, but it hasn't changed any. This would be 8. What about this guy? And that one looks like it's going Democrat. So looks like we've got pretty solid 8 more coming. So we should end up right around 221. We'll see. That's they're still trying to do some shenanigans, but again, we'll keep tabs. We'll keep putting the pressure on them. I'm telling you, we'll shining spotlights on everything. Oh, here's this again. Yeah, I had Daily Mail just changed up their. Oh, that's so not cool. I don't think I can refresh it back either. No, that's a bummer. I pulled some of these stories yesterday, so yeah, needless to say, I don't remember what that one was supposed to be. Republican Kari Lake lost her latest attempt at becoming the governor of Arizona 2 years after she lost the Senate 2022 gubernatorial election. So her last chance of trying to fight that has more or less been kicked to the curb. Same thing happened to Abe Hamadeh and Mark Fincham. They both had their own cases kind of kicked to the curb. So that seems to, at least for now, be a dead horse, I guess, for lack of a better way to put it. Hundreds of full-time staff and hundreds more volunteers are curing every last ballot in Arizona for Kari Lake. They are being relentless, apparently, so they're trying to help the best they can. Obviously, a lot going on. Kraken lawyer Sidney Powell, she's ordered to produce invasive financial documents in Dominion defamation case. I kind of saw this as an interesting thing. I mean, it's, I think, supposed to be considered a negative. She's instructed to provide Dominion voting systems with various and substantial documents in a discovery order. But I actually think she probably had some legitimate stuff. And so I'd be curious because that's now going to become evidence. So this will be pretty awesome. And again, going after someone for being a lawyer and trying to fight something it's very interesting where we're at. And these people shouldn't be able to succeed in destroying lawyers' careers for defending people like Donald Trump or whatnot. It's astounding how the left treated us, or how they were basically talked into treating us. I mean, relationships have definitely been altered, in many cases ruined. It's pretty unfortunate. Mayorkas is going to be prosecuted for the horror he has wrought upon our republic. He cannot hide, says Rep. Clay Higgins. Love that dude. Hope he won. Assume he did, but yeah, good stuff. Go after Mayorkas. He's in big trouble. He should be anyways. FEMA official was ordered relief workers to skip houses with Trump signs. So we did kind of talk about this already, but this is legit. FEMA supervisor told workers in a message to avoid homes advertising Trump as they canvassed Lake Placid, Florida, to identify residents who could qualify for federal aid. Supervisor Marnie Washington, yeah, it's a chick, totally figured. No offense to ladies out there, but it just seems kind of like a girl move. They relayed this message both verbally and in a group chat that used by relief teams. It's very effed up. It's very effed up. This is the kind of stuff that kind of gets me infuriated a little bit at the other side, because it's like we are being the bigger men, kind of like Kid Rock said. We are being the bigger people, and we are offering olive branches. These people would not do that for us. Never. Not even close. Not at all. They would have thrown us in jail in a heartbeat and never come to visit. I know that for sure. It's sad. It's very sad. Kamala Harris blew 6 figures on building the set for the disastrous Call Her Daddy podcast. Remember the one she had where they were talking about, I don't know, tampons and stuff? I don't know, whatever. I guess normally this chick talks about sex. And this is one of those situations, kind of like Joe Rogan, where they literally flew her, or she flew out to a location, and they built a set and spent 6 figures. I don't think they give us an exact number. I mean, 6 figures is anywhere from $100,000 to $999,000, like, right? Just shy of $1 million. A lot of money is in there But she spent 6 figures building a set just so she could fly this chick out there. This is who was going to run our country. It's the same thing Joe Biden was doing. He's blowing money, like just spending it like it was going out. Democrats actually think that we could never go broke as a country because we can keep printing money. They literally have no connection to the understanding how literally in the last 4 years, our money has lost 25% of its buying power. Literally, in 4 years, inflation has destroyed the dollar by 25% of its buying power. This is why stocks don't make sense. You're literally in there. So your portfolio shows like it's gone up a little bit. It's gone up like 5%, 2%, 3%. Yeah, your dollar has lost 25% of its value in 4 years. So that little bit that's going up, you're going down when you take inflation into account. Precious metals aren't, by the way. They're up. DRSlikesgold.com. Not trying to do a second commercial. Just, it's the facts. It's unfortunate. She blew through a bunch of money. She's in the hole, $20 million right now. I think we'll talk about that in a second here. Donald Trump is very funny. His response, and I don't know if he's being legit or just poking the hell out of him, but he says, I am very surprised that the Democrats, who fought a hard and valiant fight in the 2020 presidential election, raising a record amount of money, didn't have lots of monies left over. Now they are being squeezed by vendors and others. Whatever we can do to help them during this difficult period, I would strongly recommend we, as a party, and for the sake of desperately needed unity, do. Such a weird statement. We have a lot of money left over, and that our biggest asset in the campaign was earned media, and that doesn't cost very much. Make America great again. Boom. Kind of mean for them, but still funny nonetheless. Let's see. Robert Habeck, Green Party member and Vice Chancellor of Germany's collapsed government coalition, the regulation of algorithms of X or TikTok through the application of European legal norms is a central task. We cannot place democratic discourse in the hands of Elon and Chinese software. Literally, they're fighting free speech. They cannot have that. The deep state in Europe is going to fall because we are allowing people to see the truth, not allow people like you, Robert, to hide the truth, to obfuscate the truth. Don't know if I said that right. Tried though. Gave it a valiant effort. Donald Trump has been a consequential choice to make that could affect his entire second term agenda. That's whether to endorse in the race to become Senate Majority Leader next year. Republican senators have spent months in their own private election season mode over the 3-candidate race to succeed Mitch McConnell as their leader. And after they reclaim the majority on Tuesday, it is clear that the winner will steer the whole Senate. The trio of candidates are now bracing for a potentially explosive last-minute Trump endorsement, which could fray alliances and scramble private whip counts. The contest among Republicans, Whip John Thune of South Dakota, former Whip John Cornyn of Texas, and Florida Senator Rick Scott will take place on Wednesday. All three have courted Trump at Mar-a-Lago, and in private conversations, the party's internal backbiting and skullduggery is already on display in public and in private. So we'll see. Scott, I think, is the one that we're probably leaning towards, but we'll see what Trump chooses. Ultimately, that's what I'm going to back, is his choice. From A.G. Bailey, I believe Missouri, I think. Yeah. Big win in our free speech case. The court has cleared the way to obtain even more documents to expose and dismantle the Biden-Harris censorship regime once and for all. This lawsuit is for every American who has been censored by our government. He says depositions are incoming, and I look forward to that. I'd love to get my old YouTube channel back. That would be so cool because, it wasn't my fault. I was telling the truth. I was talking about truth and, got kicked out. This is great. So CNN and this FDA vaccine shill are losing their minds over RFK Jr. cleaning up our health system. Do we want to play it? No, it's 2.5 minutes. But this guy specializes in vaccinating children and is a member of the FDA Vaccine Advisory Committee. Here's a few of the names he used to describe RFK Jr. Science denialist, virulent anti-vaccine activist, conspiracy theorist, and dangerous man. Look how panicked they are just over the prospect of Americans becoming healthy. We are going to rid this evil from our healthcare system, and the rest of our country once and for all. Hallelujah. Mike Domino put this out. If the president issues you a lawful order, you follow it. That's it. Your opinion is utterly irrelevant. If you can't grasp this entirely nonpartisan core concept, you should not pursue a career in national security. Yeah, there's been a lot of talk about how U.S. military officers and intelligence community officers are going to be purged because they're not going to be able to do this. There's a lot of people that think they actually have a say in the matter. You don't. When the commander-in-chief says jump, you say, how high, sir? That's it. That's your response. Not, well, I don't know, I need to think about it. No, you don't. You don't get to think about it. That's not even an option for you. Not even close. All that said, I want you guys to check out Pet Club 247, such an amazing company that is doing amazing things to help keep our four-legged creatures alive longer. There's this mushroom. It's called Coriolis versicolor, and it is literally, they've done a gob of studies, over 400. You can't take too much of it. It's just you can't. I mean, it's essentially just food. I mean, it just happens to have amazing practices within your body. It literally helps your immune system beyond words. So when you've got your four-legged friends, like your dogs and cats, we specifically have good stuff for both of them. But when you're helping out your little doggies, one way to get this mushroom in them immediately and to start to notice if they've got maybe cancer inside, maybe they've got skin problems, bumps, weird stuff like that. Maybe they've got some teeth decay and tooth problems. There's a lot of different things that a lot of our animals will get. People have noticed, and there's been all sorts of people talking about what they've noticed with their animals, but there's a lot of people that have noticed a huge improvement with their loved ones, their little creatures. Mush puppies is the big one that everybody starts with, literally. They're $28.99 bag right here, but they got these other ones too. Dog biscuits. These have the Coriolis versicolor mushroom, and I think a second mushroom. Both of those just seem to help immensely. So easy way to get into this. You give them one cookie a day. That's awesome. Now, if you've got a dog that's got some serious health concerns, well, they've got other stuff too. They've got some freeze-dried food. One, it doesn't have crap ingredients. They're super healthy ingredients. Two, they've also got the mushrooms in it. So it's another way to get more of that into their food. Or they say you're giving them good food already, but you want to help. They've got the special sauce. You can squeeze that right on top of their normal food, and it gives them a little extra and more of that mushroom because you're already feeding them maybe, I don't know. I don't even know if Science Diet's good. That was the one we used eons ago, but I know there's a whole lot of different food brands out there. I don't have a dog right now, so I don't stay up on it. But they've got a freeze-dried. They've got just regular chicken and brown rice. They've got chicken with sweet potato and pumpkin. You can switch it up on your dogs. They've also got turkey dinner canned, the moist food. And again, they've got toys, the antler sticks, which are actually really good because when the dogs grind on them, one, it helps their teeth, but two, it actually grinds that mineral into their body. That's calcium. That's good for your dogs. So they got mutt mints for the breath. They've got these chill doggies, which are little like frozen treats that you can give your dogs. Again, some really great products. And they've got this pet balm too. They've got this for dogs, cats, horses, and people, by the way. And it's organic and all that stuff. So you can put it on their paws, on their nose, because that top part of that nose is really hard for dogs sometimes. And dogs and cats, by the way, for cat owners, they don't have mush puppies because cats wouldn't eat one of those. But they have mojos. Mojos are little liver pieces, and they put the Coriolis versicolor with that. Dogs also have that option available, but cats, that's the only real treat they have. They've got foods. They've got the special sauce. They've got the balm. They've even got a little catnip thing that's healthy. It doesn't have a bunch of chemicals in it. Again, most of us, the toys we get our animals usually are made in China. China has a lot of lead and stuff. Lead's very, very bad for our health and our little ones' health. Mush ponies. If you guys have ponies or horses, essentially, you've got a way to get that into your horse as well. I know a few people that have some rescue horses and stuff like that. Might be something you'd want to consider. And then again, they've got the balm also for the horses, for their noses and stuff. So it's a great way to try to keep those spots from drying out. And then for humans, they've got an awesome human tab. And these products are great. I take mine every day. I actually got a couple of them that I'm working through. And it just helps. Like if maybe you've got something going on inside your body. We had Baby Trump came on my show and talked about how he had a tumor in his throat. He was taking gobs of these pills over, a few months. And got it to go away. And he was talking about that experience. He was using Pet Club 247 products. Again, this is what he says and claims. But again, it's a powerful product. I smoked for a bunch of years, so I kind of do it because I think it's just a good idea to give myself the best chance of not developing cancers. Or if there are some small little bits of that floating around in my body, I know I'm doing everything I can to put a damper on that. And it's working. danradiostyle.petclub247.com. That's danradiostyle.petclub247.com. Once again, danradiostyle.petclub247.com. Make that choice. Make your little ones healthier. Make yourself healthier. And you'll appreciate the entire journey that much more. All right, time to nail these guys. Donald Trump. This was actually a pretty good speech that Trump did here, and well worth the 6.5 minutes. Check it out.
We don't have free speech, then we just don't have a free country. It's as simple as that. If this most fundamental right is allowed to perish, then the rest of our rights and liberties will topple, just like dominoes, one by one. They'll go down. That's why today I'm announcing my plan to shatter the left-wing censorship regime and to reclaim the right to free speech for all Americans. And reclaim is a very important word in this case because they've taken it away. In recent weeks, bombshell reports have confirmed that a sinister group of deep state bureaucrats, Silicon Valley tyrants, left-wing activists, and depraved corporate news media have been conspiring to manipulate and silence the American people. They have collaborated to suppress vital information on everything from elections to public health. The censorship cartel must be dismantled and destroyed, and it must happen immediately. And here's my plan. First, within hours of my inauguration, I will sign an executive order banning any federal department or agency from colluding with any organization, business, or person to censor, limit, categorize, or impede the lawful speech of American citizens. I will then ban federal money from being used to label domestic speech as mis- or disinformation. And I will begin the process of identifying and firing every federal bureaucrat who has engaged in domestic censorship, directly or indirectly, whether they are the Department of Homeland Security, the Department of Health, Human Services, the FBI, the DOJ, no matter who they are. Second, I will order the Department of Justice to investigate all parties involved in the new online censorship regime, which is absolutely destructive and terrible, and to aggressively prosecute any and all crimes identified. These include possible violations of federal civil rights law, campaign finance laws, federal election law, securities law, and antitrust laws, the Hatch Act, and a host of other potential criminal, civil, regulatory, and constitutional offenses. To assist in these efforts, I am urging House Republicans to immediately send preservation letters, and we have to do this right now, to the Biden administration, the Biden campaign, and every Silicon Valley tech giant, ordering them not to destroy evidence of censorship. Third, upon my inauguration as president, I will ask Congress to send a bill to my desk revising Section 230 to get big online platforms out of censorship business. From now on, digital platforms should only qualify for immunity protection under Section 230 if they meet high standards of neutrality, transparency, fairness, and non-discrimination. We should require these platforms to increase their efforts to take down unlawful content such as child exploitation and promoting terrorism, while dramatically curtailing their power to arbitrarily restrict lawful speech. Fourth, we need to break up the entire toxic censorship industry that has arisen under the false guise of tackling so-called mis- and disinformation. The federal government should immediately stop funding all nonprofits and academic programs that support this authoritarian project. If any U.S. university is discovered to have engaged in censorship activities or election interferences in the past, such as flagging social media content for removal of blacklisting, those universities should lose federal research dollars and federal student loan support for a period of 5 years and maybe more. We should also enact new laws laying out clear criminal penalties for federal bureaucrats who partner with private entities to do an end run around the Constitution and deprive Americans of their First, Fourth, and Fifth Amendment rights. In other words, deprive them of their vote. And once you lose those elections, and once you lose your borders like we have, you no longer have a country. Furthermore, to confront the problems of major platforms being infiltrated by legions of former deep staters and intelligence officials, there should be a 7-year calling off period before any employee of the FBI, CIA, NSA, DNI, DHS, or DOD is allowed to take a job at a company possessing vast quantities of U.S. user data. Fifth, the time has finally come for Congress to pass a digital Bill of Rights. This should include a right to digital due process. In other words, government officials should need a court order to take down online content, not send information requests such as the FBI was sending to Twitter. Furthermore, when users of big online platforms have their content or accounts removed, throttled, shadow banned, or otherwise restricted, no matter what name they use, they should have the right to be informed that it's happening, the right to a specific explanation of the reason why, and the right to a timely appeal. In addition, all users over the age of 18 should have the right to opt out of content moderation and curation entirely and receive an unmanipulated stream of information if they so choose. The fight for free speech is a matter of victory or death for America and for the survival of Western civilization itself. When I am president, this whole rotten system of censorship and information control will be ripped out of the system at large. There won't be anything left. By restoring free speech, we'll begin to reclaim our democracy and save our nation. Thank you, and God bless America.
So many good things are coming. Again, it's going to be a battle. It will be a battle, but we are going to make a difference. Donald Trump's White House meeting with Joe Biden is scheduled. I believe it's supposed to happen Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday at 11 a.m., I guess, Eastern time, of course. So, yeah, don't know what's coming from that. But you've got to kind of figure one thing for sure is going to be talked about is Hunter and all the FBI attacks and all the stuff that's been going on with him in all these cases. I'm 100% sure that's going to be a big part of the discussion. Very curious to see how that all plays out, or if it's just some sort of informal thing or formal thing, whatever. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know if he's going to be behind closed doors. If it is, I'd love to be a fly on the wall. I'm sure me and many out there would love that. Donald Trump apparently beefed up a security detail at Mar-a-Lago with a Secret Service robot dog. They're saying it's remote controlled. I don't know. I have a hard time believing that, but I would assume it's got some sort of AI component into it and maybe some remote controls if they need to do anything specific or alter its course or something. But whatever the case is, this thing's got some sensors on it and is running around and trying to keep President Trump safer. It's funny what happens when he finally wins the election and, well, Secret Service now has to fully protect him, don't they? Yeah. Donald Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, is probably not going to return to the White House in the new administration. Might be an advisor for the Middle East. There's been a lot of discussions that they were going to bring Kushner back in, but it's always the same rags that make stuff up. Axios, was this Mail? What's this guy? Daily Mail. And then the other one that's just like that. Both of those are just crap information almost all the time. So they always try to spin or push these weird narratives. They have truth baked into it. That's the only way you could pull it off. But then they got a bunch of misdirection. So sometimes you just got to make sure you read it without all that nonsense. But yeah, Jared Kushner is not supposedly going to be involved in the next administration. Also interesting that Trump truthed this out. And this is causing a lot of people to kind of trip. One, there's the whole Q post of trust Kansas, but it's very possible Kansas was behind Q, by the way. And he was former CIA, by the way. So there's a lot of strange things. And it might have been a psyop to actually get the good guys, us, engaged. Whatever the case is. Donald Trump truthed, I will not be inviting former Ambassador Nikki Haley or former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo to join the Trump administration, which is currently in formation. I very much enjoyed and appreciated working with them previously and would like to thank them for their service to our country. make America great again. Kind of weird that he's specifically calling them out and is not just going to be using them. Also interesting is Mike Flynn's brother. I forget his first name, but he is the General Charles Flynn. He's going to be stepping down Friday, November 8th. Has been serving more than 3 years as commander of the U.S. Army Pacific. Kind of interesting that Trump's now coming into office, and I guess he's not needed there, or doesn't want to be there. The timing of it's kind of interesting. Maybe because his brother will be coming into the administration, so he maybe has to step down because Mike Flynn's going to be maybe part of Trump administration, and that might create a weird role. I don't know. I wonder. And the dude's buff. He's bigger than his brother. Mike's kind of a pretty skinny guy. I mean, he's in good shape, I think, but he's not a big guy. Erdogan declares Ukraine war can easily end, and now that Trump's in the White House, this is a done deal. So there's already a lot of talk going on with the Turkish president, which is pretty amazing, by the way, because Turkey is a huge, huge power player in the Middle East, and people that literally we need them as allies. If Turkey decided they hated the United States, that could create all sorts of problems for us. So this is a good relationship to maintain, and I love the fact that Erdogan's like stoked that we got our country back, to say it pretty directly. Biden lifts the ban on U.S. defense firms in Ukraine ahead of Trump entering the Oval Office, so he's trying to put things in place that I think he's hoping will keep money flowing into his family's pockets, but I think Trump's going to put a stop to this war and any bullshit that we got going on over there. And I do think there will be a major audit of what's been going on. The thing that he was trying to do that they impeached him for. Deep State's not in charge anymore. And we are going to shut down the Deep State and demonstrate it to all the people that currently hate us right now. Yeah, we have a bit of a journey to go still. Big step last Tuesday, though. I know I'm preaching to the choir, but still. Trump campaign advisor says Ukraine focus must be peace, not territory. I do think this is going to be a big part of the decision. I've heard some people, just friends of mine, that are like, well, I mean, Trump, if he can't just let Putin keep what he got. And I'm like, yeah, he can, actually. Ukraine, first off, was shelling its own people that lived in the eastern part, this Donbass region, and Crimea. So they then gave them an opportunity to vote, Russia, and they voted overwhelmingly that they didn't want to be a part of Ukraine, and Ukraine continued to attack them. So no, we are not giving them back to Ukraine. Hell no. Ukraine lost it for a reason. Ukraine gets to keep what Ukraine has right now. Ukraine does not get anything back that it lost. It lost it for a very good reason. It's also one of the most corrupt countries in the world. So fuck no, we're not giving it back. No, sorry, folks. That's not how this game's going to get played. The war will end. Putin will have saved his people, and Ukraine will have to essentially deal with the fact that it's allowed this leader to do what it's done. I mean, the Ukrainian people who I feel bad for, but getting the deep state out of there and giving them a chance to actually have an election again, because, yeah, democracy matters so much, but Zelensky still has a hold on their elections. They were supposed to have an election almost a year ago, I think, or way earlier this year, and he canceled it because of the war. That's all coming down, and Zelensky will probably escape, probably use one of his yachts. And God, you guys remember that billionaire's yacht that somehow we got some weird water vortex that happened out in the middle of the Mediterranean and sank his boat and stuff? Killed everyone except like one person or whatever? That'd suck if that happened to Zelensky, wouldn't it? I mean, it's a water spout. It's God talking, I guess. I mean, I don't think it was actually natural, but whatever. We'll see how things play out. Let's see. Justice Department is going to focus on the most egregious January 6 cases until Trump's inaugurated. Why? Because when Trump gets into office, he's probably going to release all of them. Probably. Or all of them that didn't commit actual crime. Like, again, some people actually assaulted police officers. I mean, I get that they were throwing flashbangs and shit. But you should not have done that. That's not okay. So, yeah, there's going to be some people that probably should stay in jail, but the overwhelming number of people that didn't do anything other than just trespass or quote interrupt the thing or whatever. Like, no. First off, Supreme Court already ruled that that's bullshit, right? They didn't interrupt anything because the Justice Department doesn't go after anybody that's interrupted stuff on their side of the fence ever. And there was a bunch of examples given. So I forget the terms they use for that, but whatever. January 6th case. They're going to try to push those through. The judge sets a Monday deadline for Giuliani to hand over his assets. I kind of wonder what happens if he doesn't. I know some of this is like trying to delay. They're totally stupid that give $150 million to those two ladies. That's just asinine. There's no way that that's fair. That's an exorbitant amount of money. And to try to sue that after the effect, after you've already given up your homes and already, like, you've got nothing anymore, and, oh, yeah, we did overfine you. Sorry. Now, again, that was like Kamala Harris. With just a swipe of a pen, I could ruin their lives. That's what's happening. So I kind of think Giuliani might be just like dragging his feet. He's like, I don't know, do your worst, whatever. I don't give a crap. I'm not giving you all my shit. F off. And he's possibly going to run for mayor of New York again, which would be super cool. Can you imagine how that red wave's going to go? Yeah, very well. Very well. We'll see how things continue to play out. So what's next? Pound of flesh. Federal judge in New York on Saturday authorized 2 Georgia poll workers defamed by Rudy Giuliani to pursue information about 4 Yankees World Series rings owned by the former New York City mayor. Essentially, the judge is like, I don't care if it's sentimental or not. Watch that his grandfather gave him. They're just going to go ahead and auction off and steal so they can pay these 2 ladies $150 million that they never would have come close to making in their entire lives 50 times over. No way it would happen. Not at all. Disney and Pixar animator accused of paying for rape of children. This dude supposedly spent 41 million pounds, or 41,000 pounds, sorry, on sexual violence and torture of girls that was then sent to his device. He was literally like streaming like people torturing, and he was paying huge sums of money for that. The Disney and Pixar animator, Bolhem Bolchiva, is alleged to have spent that large amount of money. It's just friggin' insane. Cash for Kids conspiracy. This is pretty crazy, and I had to play this now because, again, I try to cover the kids' stuff often, but not every single day, but multiple times a week. This is pretty painful to hear that this kind of stuff is happening in our great country.
Kids conspiracy. Juvenile judges sold kids to private prisons in exchange for $2.8 million in bribes. Here's how it worked. Luzerne, Pennsylvania, like most places, had a public juvenile detention facility. But an attorney, Robert Powell, and a developer, Robert Mercer, saw an opportunity to make a lot of money if they could convert the public one into a private one and then got paid for every single juvenile delinquent that was sent there. And so the first thing they had to do was to get rid of the existing one. So they contacted 2 judges. First was Mark Clavarella, and then the second one was Michael Conahan. These 2 men were judges who ran the juvenile justice system in that county, and they persuaded them, with the help of a $2.1 million bribe, to get rid of the existing facility so they could build this new private one. But once they got the prison, now they needed inmates. You see, if a public juvenile detention facility is empty, that's a good thing. That means that the system is working. But if a private one is, that means that the stockholders are losing money. They needed a steady supply of lots of juvenile delinquents. And so they told the judge that for every child that they sent to their facility, the judges would receive a kickback. Motivated by profit, the judges turned their courtrooms into a mockery of justice, just a mill to get as many kids into the system as quickly as they can. They often denied them due process. Over 280 of them never ever talked to a lawyer. Most of them were handcuffed at the middle of the night and taken away without any contact with their parents. And for small little things, one kid was handcuffed and sent off because he had made fun of his vice principal on his MySpace. In total, these 2 judges sent over 2,400 juveniles to juvenile detention facilities in exchange for $2.8 million in bribes. And this went on for years. A number of complaints were filed between 2004 and 2008 with the Pennsylvania Judicial Conduct Board, but they didn't investigate any of them. In 2008, the Philadelphia-based Juvenile Law Center filed a petition with the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania saying you've got to look into what's going on, and the Supreme Court did nothing. But then came another terrible judge, Ann Lucata, who was just a horrible human being. She would order her staff to run all kinds of personal errands for them. She showed obvious favor to lawyers that she had.
Yeah, it's just, again, some We have so much to clean up, and we will get there. We will definitely get there, but we have a lot to clean up. Now, the Bells of Notre Dame, we covered that already. Judge rejects Sean Diddy Combs' request to gag potential witnesses and their attorneys. He's also trying to get new release attempts. Whatever the case is, Sean Diddy's working hard. We'll see if he's able to. If he gets out, he's running. We probably can guarantee that. All said, lots happening in the world, folks. You and I are going to be a part of this every step of the way. Shoulder to shoulder. We've got a ways to go, but we'll get there together. Because where we go one, we go all. It's On the Fringe with Dan Radio Style.